105K BTC and a little bounce there in the market at the moment. We've seen these alts drop a lot today, dropping into some interesting zones once again. But is there one more trap before this brewing altcoin move? Because we can see the signs that there is going to be something happening with these alts. So guys, we've got so much to talk about here. I've got so many alt setups for you guys. Whew, we're going to be busy. It's a big day. Let's get into it. And remember, guys, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. You know who the regular is. There he is, Mr. 𝗵𝗆 Bull or bear today, sir?
Cautious bull. Cautious bull.
One day he's going to come out hard. Okay, I've got another guest today. I've unlocked the panda. Okay, you saw this man in the chats a couple of times on the show. Yesterday, he gave a little scalp long in the chats. Classic hackers vibe. And it was an alpha banger. And we're going to talk about that just now, how he does it. And he's got a setup for you guys. So it's coming in hot. So there's the panda. Say hello, sir.
So, hello, everyone.
Look at that man's voice. Oh, yes. Okay, let's go. Banter Bubbles, nice and green, but there's actually news on Banter Bubbles. Look at this. The new improved newsroom is in the house. You can create your own token watch list now. You can follow your own narratives, and you can follow ecosystems, and that's going to pull out the news for you guys. So that's a nice touch to Banter Bubbles, just adding a little bit more than a bubble over there at the moment. And then you can see the big performance today, AAVE and 𝗬𝗏. There is news at the moment around that, and James knows a little bit about that. Something about the Genius Act or something along those lines. So we're going to cover some of those tokens today and why those things are moving. So overall, a little bit green at the moment on Banter Bubbles, but it wasn't super green in the market. So some of the trades that I've been sitting in from yesterday, some of them actually turned red. POPCAT putting me under a bit of pressure there, but the others, they seem to be okay for now. So current view is that we are going to hold these lows, maybe, but let's take a look at BTC. And Fahad says Panda bangs. And Panda's here, but he's also here in the chats. What is going on here? Look, BTC, let's see, 104,400. This was one of the levels I dropped for the hackers earlier today. We had three main levels today. The first one was 104,800. We had a little reaction there. The second one was 104,400, and we've got a little bounce on the cards now on BTC. So that is relatively bullish from that perspective. The only bearish thing for me, a little bit concerning, I've got bearish divergence on the 2 hour, and it's taking quite long to play out at the moment. So I was looking for a bigger reset in terms of this oscillator moving down today before we had a bounce. But look, we bouncing. Okay, it doesn't mean we're going to print a new high just yet. We just need to be a little bit cautious. This could be a move where we just print a lower high and then start dropping to the downside. So get your undies ready in case we have to do a little undies change. But in terms of BTC levels, 105,500. Let's watch that to the upside. You can see it's a typical undercarriage here for me. So that could give us some kind of resistance. And then 106,200, another area of interest there for me to the upside. And then obviously the natural wick fills. You know how Bitcoin loves to come and fill some wicks. So that would be your next upside level. So these are danger zones that you want to look out for if we do pump higher. And then in terms of lower, I've highlighted here 103,800. This could be a possible banger. Okay, the reason being I've got a VWAP here. I've got a classic 618 on the Bitcoin pool, and I've got some horizontals in play at the moment. So we'll see how that goes. We most likely get some kind of 1 hour reversal or 30-minute reversal when we drop into those types of zones. So we're going to watch that one. And those are essentially your ping pong zones that you're going to be watching today. And hopefully we're going to tie those in with dominance and some of the altcoins. In terms of what I'm doing right now, I grabbed a whiff long about an hour and a half ago. I gave it on my workshop number 1 for my accelerator course. We had a nice workshop there. We gave a whiff long, and Panda's bringing you a setup as well that I dropped on that workshop too. So let's take a look at what is going on out there at the moment. Well, basically, she's happy again, isn't she? Because it's your Bitcoin at 74K, James, but it's our Bitcoin at 104. So now this thing's going up nicely now.
I'm a genius again, you know. I'm not hated at home. I was allowed to sleep in the bed last night.
Very clever you are at the moment. So in terms of the lickies, we're only $200 million down at the moment. So we're back in rookie numbers. And James is basically saying, well, it's because everyone's broke at the moment because they've all been chopped around. And over the last couple of days, lots of uncertainty. And what we've also seen is probably less trading going on while the market just floats around now over the next few hours. So something to watch. But if anybody's feeling confused over the last couple of days, well, at least you're not this lady here. There's Bitcoin newbies this week. Okay, this This is exactly how it feels some days. I mean, I'm sitting here at the moment thinking, am I going to do another round trip now on Link? Are they going to come back down, or are they going to pump it? So, guys, I've got you covered. We're going to look at all of these alts as well, and I'm going to give you my plans on some of them. Now, interestingly, we were, the market was saying it was going to be so bearish, and there was going to be a massive sell-off yesterday with this Moody downgrade. But according to JP Morgan, retail traders aggressively bought the dip, purchasing 4.1 billion worth of US stocks by 12:30 p.m., marking the largest intraday retail inflow in record. So they bought a happy downgrade, I guess, and they came in and bought a shit ton. And if you were the analyst with 3 PhDs in finance who downgraded the US watching the stocks go up, I mean, maybe you're feeling like this guy at the moment because nothing makes sense, does it? It seems like everything, we just got to counter trade everything at the moment. So the S&P, look, today a little bit flat. No changes to my current plan. Looking for this reversal on the oscillator. We are getting hot here at the moment, but I would love to see one more push up, create some divergence for us, and then a nice little short. So 6,150, 6,1, those types of areas. Still waiting for that zone to come into play on BTCC so we can try and catch that S&P short. So that is what I'm looking at there. And then in terms of the S&P, since 2016, there's only been 2 red months during the May-July period. Now, that is interesting. Did you actually know that, James? I actually thought it was sell in May and go away or whatever the story is. But during May to July period, there's only been 2 red months. Okay, so look, there could be a lot of chop in between. Remember, it could drop 10% at the beginning of the month and still pump later on. But yeah, that's an interesting stat there for us. And then a market mover coming in a couple of hours' time. James, 3-4 hours from now, I believe. And Trump and Secretary of Defense will make an announcement from the Oval Office at 3 p.m. Some kind of war news, obviously. Is it the Russian situation? Is it the Israel situation? So, look, it remains to be seen. Market mover.
He talked about Russia this morning because apparently Russia went and attacked Ukraine after the talks yesterday, sent some drones in or something, and he did a little press thing this morning and said, listen, it's not our war. You know, we got dragged into this. We never should have been part of it. And he just kind of poo-pooed the thing and whatever. It's not our problem. So who knows? I don't think it's about Russia. I'm not sure what the hell this is about, but we're we'll find out in 3 hours.
Possible market mover in 3 hours. Hold on to your undies for that. Could be up, could be down. We don't know what's going to come, but gold likes to speculate, and gold has now broken through major resistance. And when you get war talk, gold tends to be one of the favorite things to look at. So yesterday I was telling you guys about a gold bullish, double bullish divergence on the 12-hour. I was saying we're looking for momentum here on gold, and I broke down a DGen setup for you. And I'm very sorry to say I missed the DGen trade. Unfortunately, I'm feeling like a bit of a gold loser at the moment. So in terms of gold on the 12-hour, we've broken through our major resistance. Our main support now, anyone trading bigger time frames, 3,200, 3,240, anywhere in that region, you're going to use that as your support base. You can see nice bullish divergence here. So what we would expect if it does push higher, some kind of dip, but we want to see that dip hold, and then some kind of longer push on gold. So that is teeing up quite nicely now. And then in terms of the DGen setup, I gave you guys the squeezy setup yesterday. Please tell me at least some of you got the squeezy gold setup yesterday, okay? Because I don't have it. I'm goldless at the moment. I know some of our traders got it. And I see Mia's telling us Jay was also trading some gold there today. So yesterday we looked at the squeezy setup. What is a squeezy setup? Well, it's very scientific. Basically, you get this rising, what do we call this? The rising wedge or ascending triangle, and then you eventually get some kind of pop. And when you see that happening with oscillators turning up, you can start looking at that with a little bit more confidence. And one of the levels we looked at yesterday was a pullback to 3,200, 210, that type of region. We just wanted to hold that. Then the next phase was break the trend and then get some kind of retest and set. So gold is looking good. I am goldless though, unfortunately. So off she goes. Let's see how that plays out over the next couple of days. Now, this Genius Act was obviously quite bullish for the market yesterday. Stablecoin legislation, the Genius Act, clears the key vote in the Senate and now moves to the floor for debate. James, when does this go down? What's the story here?
Well, because this was the cloture vote to allow them to discuss it and actually vote on it on the floor. And I think they had a 30-hour discussion period from the time this was signed. So it actually couldn't be voted on, I guess, till tomorrow. Okay. Technically, but it'll be wee hours in the morning that they could technically do it. So yeah, it's just, we got a little waiting period here, but this is why we see all those lovely tokens pumping that are tight. Yeah.
So this Genius Act could be beneficial for a couple of ETH tokens as well. Is a couple of going to benefit?
Right, that's the big thing. It's a stablecoin bill to allow the stablecoins to be used. It's good for the US. They want to be the leader, beat out China before they start doing this. Yeah, it's great news, really, if it passes. But certain tokens are really going to benefit.
Some of these. We're going to cover some of these for you guys now. And do we have time to talk about Kramer? Because this is obviously concerning. Okay, he's just basically telling everyone he's buying Bitcoin and gold as insurance. I don't know if we should listen to this. It could be a jinx.
Uh-oh.
The volume's quite low, sorry.
It is.
Look, in a nutshell, he basically said he's buying Bitcoin. Okay, I don't know if that's positive or negative. I don't know. Your thoughts, let us know in the chats there. Then in terms of a couple of S&P situations, Tesla moving into my short zone. So we are gearing up to start building some kind of Tesla short. We've got our reversal in play at the moment. So anywhere in this region, if we start pumping into the zone, for me, laddering into shorts. Okay, looking for a short on Tesla. A little bit of a risky play, as you know, but 383, that's my upside. If we close above 383, probably going to be an exit play there and going to take the L and probably a little bit of lickies on that one. Okay, so that is what we're watching there. And then Microsoft, still very slow mover. It's grinding. I don't know. Should I be concerned about the lickies? What I'm following here is what's happened at major resistance on previous occasions. And what we can see is when we got these reversal prints, we did get roll over here on Microsoft. So here we go again, reversal print in time. I've been laddering into a short, looking for a final little pump there, maybe a stop hunt, and then a drop to the downside. And I'm trading this one on BTCC. Okay, so there it is. Only 2 orders have taken so far. I do have another one waiting at 464. So one more to grab if they do push us up a little bit higher. And BTCC, remember, we trade crypto there, but you can also trade some of these stocks that I cover, as well as gold and the S&P and those things. Okay, now there's a Bitcoin whale out there, and maybe he knows something we don't, but he's increased his long to 569 milli. He is currently up $18 million. Nice little scalp. And not bad for a couple of days' work, says Altcoin Gordon. Now, this guy's lickies, where's his lickies? 97,800. So I think he's pretty safe at the moment. He's going to be sweating bullets at 98K because that is bang on our daily support level that we're going to be watching. He's going to be absolutely shitting himself. And I suspect they're going to come and grab that lickies if they do get that low. They're going to send it down and cascade it into him. So hopefully for him, it doesn't go down to those levels just yet. So I think we will go there at some point. I think it's just a matter of time. And in terms of my plan, no changes. This is my big short zone up to about 110. Makes sense to me if we get a pump here in BTC, looking for that to roll over and tie in with our bearish divergence that we are printing at the moment. So that is my current game plan. If it does fall over, guys, the big zones, 99 to 98, close to his lickies there. And then the big one is lower down, 94, 93. And I've got so much support there. You can see there's almost a golden cross coming here. And typically, well, what happens with a golden cross is you dump into a golden cross and you pump into a death cross. So we are about to get the golden cross. Is this a sign for a dump, James? I want one more pump so we can short this thing. Okay, one more pump. We are days away. I think we are a day or two away from the golden cross on BTC. Are we going to get rinsed and sent to 0? Okay, so guys, if you want some free alpha, I have mentioned this before, straight into your inbox. The daily candle is there, and you can get an email every single day with trade setups from all the traders. And the Hackers Day is on Thursday. So if you want hackers stuff and other trading alpha sent to your email inbox while you're sitting at work, it's free alpha. Go into the show description, sign up. It will get sent to you guys, and enjoy it. Hackers Day is Thursdays, and 5 of the team drop setups for you. There's huge alpha coming in there. Now, a quick touch on liquidations and things like that for BTC. I'm watching the 24-hour at the moment, and you can see pretty tight range at the moment in terms of support. 104 down to this 102,800 region ties in fairly well with that chart that I've just shown you on the 2-hour. And then upside, you know, we've got a nice band here at 107 up to about 107.6. Nice little area. Also ties in with those wick fills to the upside. So just something, a little bit of extra confluence there for you guys. And then in terms of altcoins, this always scares me. This actually, when Ben Cowan does this, the thing about this is that it scares the shit out of you. Then you first don't believe it, and then it happens, and he comes up with a tweet saying, remember, I told you this a few weeks ago, and bang, there it is. Now, he gets it right a lot, and this is obviously a little bit concerning. He thinks BTC pairs will bleed again into the summer, maybe a local low in June, then another low in late October. Inverse bullish. Inverse bull. I'm inverse bull on this. Okay, not looking good, but he gets it right a lot. So there's a little warning bell. Then in terms of the 4-hour RSI heat map, look at that right at the bottom, oversold. Why is PYTH so oversold at the moment? Let's ask Panda quickly, why is PYTH so oversold? And he's left the building. He's done and he's run away. Okay, there we go. Not too late.
Drink.
You know, he's back.
I have you in my ear, sir. I have you in my ear.
Okay, we're going to talk about PYTH now, but Panda's got a PYTH set up for you. It looks like an absolute ripper. Okay, so he's going to tell you his thinking behind it and all those things in a couple of minutes. Just make sure you're liking the likes. I mean, you've never met this man, and now's your time. Okay, look at him. He's so handsome as well, and he's one of our gun breakout traders. He's an absolute beast, and I wanted him to give you guys a little bit of alpha as well as to how he catches some of them. So if you're nice to him, he's going to give you a couple of tips during the day. I mean, during the show. So PYTH heavily oversold at the moment. Panda will cover that with me in a sec. Then WCT almost into a danger short zone. We might have to be looking at that one if it pumps a little bit higher. But in terms of the rest of the tokens, kind of middle of the road, they're still floating below neutral, and that can be considered still a little bit bearish from this perspective until they break that neutral territory and they start moving into bullish zones. Okay, so that is the altcoin summary. And then in terms of dominance, well, we're having another punch into our altcoin rally zone, and these are the two altcoin rally zones that are most interesting to me at the moment. So every time we pump into 64.1%, we look for a rejection until it doesn't reject anymore. Then if it rips through, our next rejection zone is going to be 64.7. My thoughts on this: if dominance blows through this region and sends to 64.7, we most likely going to print some new lows on some altcoins. You're going to see POPCAT hitting major fibs, Bonk hitting major fibs, and we're going to get some of our entries that we have been waiting for the last couple of days. So something, I suppose, bearish to look forward to. Might get rinsed on the way down, but the entries will come at that 64.7% zone for me. Now, in terms of support, you can see I highlighted this today for hackers, and this is the alt danger zones. You can see I highlighted 2, and again, typical TA on dominance. Very simple stuff we're using here. You drop into a support zone on dominance, you typically look for a bounce there, and then you would have noticed the alts were under a little bit of pressure at the time. Okay, so nice chart that you can play around with in terms of your altcoin trading. And then USDT dominance is a nice market gauge for us, and I've touched on this yesterday. Is there a possibility that there is a trap? What is that trap going to look like? Well, for me, we can see USDT dominance is trending down. That is positive for us. We can see last time we got a little cluster like that, it was a bear flag, and then we dropped lower, market pumped very nicely. So we are gearing up for a potential move like that. There is a bear flag on USDT dominance. What could the trap be? Well, for me, the trap could be a pump into this horizontal on USDT dominance. So a hard pump there, that could result in quite a big sell-off in the market in general, and then we can get some kind of relief rally. So look out for that trap. Again, I'm positioning myself sort of midway between this. I'm not aping everything in at the moment at these levels, but I am testing levels, and you're going to see some of the trades that I'm sitting in at the moment. Some of them are doing okay, some of them are under a bit of pressure, and I think that is the nature of where we are at the current phase of this move that we are in at the moment. Okay, now USDT dominance, obviously keep your eyes on that, but it could get really filthy at about 4.96%. That could be a big danger zone for us over there. Now, let's talk Genius Act and a couple of things like that. All the crypto assets, the Genius Act is probably most positive for ETH, giving its stablecoin base, robust for infrastructure, long-running institutional rapport, and then Sol won't be far behind. And Tron, funnily enough, he's calling a bit of a dark horse, so that is interesting. And then there's some bear news on ETH. 𝗵𝗆, the co-founder of ETH. Does anyone know how many co-founders there are of ETH? I've never heard of this one. Okay, this is the first one for me. But this man's got $260 million of ETH, and he's moved it onto Kraken. Why do they always use Kraken? What's the thing with Kraken?
That's where I offboard too. It's the easiest. Simple, straight transfer right to the bank account. That's why they make it easy.
$260 million. Okay, 30 minutes ago. This was, when was this? Earlier today. Okay, so yeah, that's a big one. And that normally, if you're moving that type of money or that type of crypto onto an exchange, you normally want to liquidate a little bit of it. So hopefully he doesn't market sell 260 million, but he might be planning to sell into strength on this Genius Act getting sorted out, I would guess. So if there is a pump, he's probably just going to exit on any guard candles there on ETH. Okay, So look out for that. There will be a sell into strength. And if that news does come out, guys, obviously, and the market pumps, I think just be wary. That might push us to all-time highs for BTC, might give the alts one more pump, and then maybe we need to be a little bit careful with how we play things. Now, in terms of ETH, no real changes. We are still sitting in this, I mean, we can call it a bearish wedge. I mean, it is essentially a wedge pushing to the downside. And when can we turn bullish? Well, we really want to break out this wedge and we want to start grinding higher. So upside levels, danger zones for me, 2,580 and 2,720. We got to start breaking those pretty soon, or I believe ETH is just going to start grinding down all the way back down, 2,050, 1,900. That is all on the table, especially if that man market sells $250 million worth of ETH. Okay, so in terms of degen levels that you can watch, the first one for me, 2,320, and then your next one is 2,400. We do have fib support in that region as well, so that can be your higher low zone that you can pay attention to on ETH, but I'm not trading it at the moment, just kind of letting it be. I'm so tired of trading ETH. I've got ETH exhaustion, basically. Now, the winners of the stablecoin build are projects built around stablecoins. Okay, ENA, I spoke to you guys about that yesterday. And AAVE, obviously, that comes in and out of the show fairly regularly, Maker and CRV. So I thought, let's take a look at ENA one more time. So I gave you guys that buy zone yesterday, and we did front run it a touch. So interesting to see what happens next on this thing. But if you are sitting in ENA, you've got big support, 335. You've got your quantum reactor, 50-day MA, 618, horizontal. There's a lot going on there in terms of support. So if you drop into that zone, it's probably along with relative confidence, okay, especially based on this news, okay. And we've got some bullish divergence printing as well. You can see on the 8 hour, there's a higher low printing on the oscillator, and you can see the price was printing a lower low. So that often tells you that we might be getting another move. So look out, if there is another dip, that could be an amazing add-on opportunity for you guys. Or alternatively, you can see we're in this descending wedge. If we start blowing that thing, we can get excited again. So degen support, if anybody wants filthy degen support, what you can use is 362, and then I wouldn't look much lower than say 335 down to 328, those types of levels. Okay, so filthy support 362, but yeah, take a shower after that, and good luck. Okay, now in terms of AAVE, this thing's an absolute banger. And this was one of my high time frame charts that I drop in Chart Hackers. So every Monday after the weekend shenanigans, pumps or dumps or whatever's gone down on the weekends, the timing is always beautiful on a Monday to re-look at the high time frame charts. And that is where I go through about 20, 25 charts and I drop big levels, and I just drop some thoughts and things around the charts of the day that I'm watching. Now, AAVE was one of them on Monday, and I wrote their high probability reaction zone. I mean, I wasn't expecting that high probability reaction zone, but it was quite a little ripper there off a simple 236 fib and horizontal. So we're using very basic TA there. Look at that, dropped into that 236, and now this thing is absolutely ripping. In terms of jumping into AAVE now, I would be super careful. I'm staying away because we don't know what's going to happen next. But in terms of reaction zones, 291 could be a target zone for you guys. You do have a wick at about 280, so look out. If this thing keeps pumping, there might be a bit of danger there around 290, somewhere in that area. So just be careful. And in terms of shorting AAVE, I'm not excited about trying to short this thing. You can see every time we have had some kind of consolidation, it's been very short-lived rejections in this current uptrend. So for me, there's no short on the table. If there's going to be momentum later, I'd rather wait for some kind of dip and then some kind of buy. So in terms of interim degen support, well, less degen, but 245 is probably reasonable that you guys can use at the moment. And upside 290, I would be careful up there. You might run out of momentum around about that type of area. Okay, now let's hit SOL, and the number of wallets holding 0.1 or more of SOL has reached a new all-time high of 11.16 million. James, why do you think that is? The amount of shit coins in people's wallets, okay? Dust, okay? They're collecting mean dust over there.
0.1, is that what, $16 or something?
Yeah.
Going all in on shit coins. My $16 investment going to make me a billionaire.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, I wouldn't read too much into that. I've got a record because there's some filthy animals out there buying tons of shit coins, speculating on little ones, doing all these things. Okay, but anyway, it's good for the ecosystem. We know there's action in Sol, and Sol actually looking a little bit better than a couple of other tokens. Look at that. We've got a bullish divergence print on the 8 hour. So that is giving us some kind of move there to the upside, or at least an indication that things are about to hot up a little bit there for Sol. So I'm hanging on for dear life at the moment. Look at this. I'm hanging on. I've got 74,000 long on Sol at the moment, and really hoping we don't go too deep. My stop is sitting at 157 now. My licky's at 155.5. It's going to be proper squeaky bum time there if we come down a little bit lower. So I'm banking on that bullish divergence playing out for me on Sol. And come on, just go, just pump, okay? We want to send this thing. I don't want lickies just yet, but you can see in terms of a big area here, ironically, 157 is the massive bounce zone. And there's no bigger L than getting fucking liquidated on a major support zone. So we're going to have to see. I might have to prop that up on the way down. I mean, we'll play it by ear, but looking for an 8 hour push there on Sol. Hopefully we get a little bit more action there. Now you can see I'm sitting in 2 positions. One of them is WIF, and I dropped that in Chart Hackers a little bit earlier today. And guys, if you are in Chart Hackers, you will be able to get access to regular trade setups. And it's not only me. Like I dropped this trade setup here today, and where is it there? There's gold, there's WIF. Okay, so I said starting a WIF position. I'm seeing a 1 hour reversal coming between 94 and 91, and I give a stop loss and an exit plan, and then off she goes. Okay, and now I've got an amazing team in there. Here's one of them. Okay, he's just one of the guns in the squad there. He's a little bit shy. Look there, he's looking to the side. Hello, sir. There he is. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's surprised. We'll bring him back. Okay, so guys, that's what's going down. Yes, sir.
Sounds like you need to bring him back right away. He's texting me about CAS. You need to get your eyes on it immediately.
CAS?
Emergency on CAS.
Because it's bouncing off eggplant.
Okay, let's live trade CAS. Okay, what are we doing? Am I longing the shit out of CAS here, bro?
Not longing the shit out of it. Might you want to take a nibble? Because on the 15 and the 1 hour, do you want me to put my chart?
Give me your chart. Show me what's going on. I want to take a chart. Okay, guys, a little break in this transmission while we try and do some degen shit. Okay, here it comes.
Sorry about that, guys. Okay, you see my screen?
There it is. Okay, cool.
All right,
what's going on?
Just a quick one. We were talking about CAS earlier. It was looking sexy, and previously we longed it for a nice 25% move, and all I did was just basically copy paste the same setup because it's still holding this range. But on the 15 minute, it's starting to look a little bit spicy in a good way because it just claimed this 0.5, and the cash flow is turning green and it's bouncing. And I'm trying to keep an eye on dominance, and it seems like it's about to roll as well. So if that happens, then we should be seeing something on CAS. It could be, it's a small scalp, but yet again, with these breakouts, when dominance is rolling over and we're having this type of bounce, I always say it's a scalp until proven otherwise. And this is how we sometimes get these breakouts that turn into, a breakup trend. And that's how we get our cool entries. So we're banging into a 382 and the VWAP right now. So I know, because whenever I say eyes on something, you long the shit out of it. So I just want to let you know that you're looking at least a 2.5% stop loss, because my theory here is if we take the bottom of this bounce on the 15 minute as a cluster on its own, we kind of don't want to close under the breakout here. So we're sitting at about 3% ish. Okay. Because if we wick down here, that's fine, as long as it's not a close, because it will just be like a quick retest and then off we go. And then this could be a potential. Yeah.
The key here is, okay, you get reversal trades that you see a lot from me. Okay, you get the occasional breakout trade from me. This guy's a breakout expert. Okay, so he knows his shit. But if you want to trade breakouts, you're obviously taking on a degree of risk. And when the candle turns green like that, you got to look at your nearest main support zone. And he's making it very clear it's 2 to 3% to your nearest support. So if you are going to dive into this thing, be prepared to take a 2 or 3% hit if it goes against you. Is that a fair assessment there, sir?
Very fair. And don't go with your full position. No way. I always say, like, if we're playing a breakout, always go 30%, 25% of your position that you're willing to take on. And then after a breakout and reclaim of the next fib level, we can add on very quickly. You'll be surprised by how much we can grow it. And it's coming into a resistance right now. So that will be good to, if you're conservative, you might want to wait for a pullback to the 618 on the 15. Take it with a grain of salt. It's not a very convincing 618, but it's something for this play. So that's one way of doing it. And another way of boss doing it is just aping in, which I don't.
No, when he says, sometimes he says, eyes on, and then I just automatically just, you know what I mean, like these guys drop some bangers, you know what I mean. Okay, Panda, so there you go, there's your little CAS, there's your CAS play. The risk is a little bit high for me right now. I want to see this thing to just bleed a little bit. If we can get that little rejection there, Panda, I think I'm going to be super keen there. Mia, it's something like that. Okay, it is something like that. Did I hear anything? Eyes on. Okay, now let's talk. Okay, I want to cover WIF quickly, and then we're gonna talk about PYTH. So in terms of WIF, you can see I'm in a WIF position there. Let's just find where's our WIF chart here. Let's just grab this WIF here quickly to cover for you guys. There she is. Okay. Now, why was WIF interesting to me? So sometimes when I have time, I sit and I watch these degen setups out there in the market. And for me, a degen play is a 1 hour. I know you get some savages out there on 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but for me, this is more than enough. So we saw WIF dropping into an interesting zone. At the same time, we printed a 1 hour reversal. And now subsequent to that, we've got a bullish divergence print as well. So that made sense there to grab that entry earlier on WIF. So the ideal entry, guys, is say 94 down to say 91, give or take. And if you candle close under 91, that type of area, then this trade is probably done. And you're going to get rinsed on that thing. In terms of upside targets, not being super greedy, there's one over there, 1.02. Then we've got 1.07 and we've got 1.16 at an extreme push. But you can see there, 1 hour divergence playing out nicely, giving you a little bounce. And obviously we can't control what happens next, but what we can do is identify the zones where we may or may not get a reaction. And WIF was one of those that I was watching today. Okay, so that thing's turned a little bit green at the moment. If the market falls over, and it could potentially still fall over, what you need to watch for me, 8268 is what you're going to be watching. 8268, that is a zone of interest there for WIF if there is another meltdown. Okay, so there you go. There's the WIF play. And Siege says, who else took the CAS trade? We'll keep you posted as we go. And remember, that little cluster that Panda showed you is nice support that you guys can work with. Okay, so Panda, talk to me about CAS, because earlier today, Panda dropped PYTH. Earlier today, Panda dropped a PYTH setup, and he said this could be interesting because there's a massive unlock. What's the TLDR around PYTH? What is going on here?
Honestly, I'm not too sure with the news, but a couple of members in the Discord were saying that there's a massive unlock happening today, actually, and it's about 21% of the supply, which is humongous. So it makes sense that the market, whether it's pumping or dumping, if you look at, I can put on my screen if you want, if you look at PYTH over the past number of days, it's been just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. So is this, yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
That's you.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, with the market pumps, we didn't really get anything. It's just been bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. So it does make sense, because with these unlocks, usually, you know, the price will bleed to a very, 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 very juicy level, and then they will pump the shit out of it, and then they will just dump it on everyone. So that's what I'm hoping to kind of catch here. Has nothing to do with tech or major, you know, news about it. It's just an unlock, and we're here to just ride the wave. So what I find very, very, very interesting here, if we look at PYTH on the 12-hour, it's coming down this falling wedge, and coincidentally, it happens to be touching the support of this falling wedge previously. I tend to leave these trend lines on and not delete them whenever I'm tracking a token for a very long time, because it gives me an indication of a breakout, if it's sustained or if it was a fake out, or kind of gives me a visual indication of, you know, if this falls apart, where's my most realistic area of support, or what trend is it touching into? So this happens to be, you know, 1 touch, 2, 3, and this would be, you know, touching the support of the top of that trend, which is interesting. That's one way to look at it. Another way is if we zoom in just a little bit, we see that it's sitting on very interesting levels. Excuse me. It's going on the 8-hour. So it's just about to tap the previous quarter low levels, which is a massive level usually. And it's coming into a very, very strong bullish order block. If I put in my chart prime dynamics here, you'll see that there are two very bullish order blocks sitting within this area. And it also happens to be the previous cluster because, if you know me, I'm a cluster breakout trader, right? So this happens to be exactly in line with the bottom of the previous cluster that led to the previous breakout. That was a nice 60% push. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to get that, but even if we get a dead cat bounce out of this to something as the weekly open, that's a nice 21% right there. And that's not asking for much at all. We're just trying to ask to go back to this, to the neckline here. So with that said, the last thing that really sold me on this was, putting some fib levels. And this actually might get your interest here because it happens to be sitting also on, pull from here, sorry. It's on a major fib level, the fib pull from the 7th of April. So it's sitting on a 786, a major quarterly level, a bullish block. I mean, that's kind of a recipe for...
I hear you. And the first thing I said when I saw that this morning was, what did I say? But I was like, fuck, this looks good. It was something like that. So look, barring the massive unlock, we know this means that there's a lot of tokens on the market. So there is danger, obviously, that these guys could now sell it. But the advantage here is PYTH has been selling into the unlock. It's almost like the market has been pricing in this massive unlock. If you believe in that type of thesis or you have that type of bias, maybe it's worth a little look. Obviously, the downside is these guys come and dump their 26% or whatever it is, and they send us all to zero. Okay, so in terms of the trade setup, you looking for a swing play? You're looking for like what, 15, 20%?
So I'm looking for a swing kind of a slow cooker because I got you guys covered in terms of what Dylan's saying about, if they dump the price. If we lose the current levels that we're on, we could expect, and we should expect, another 20% to the downside, which is going to be previous month's low levels, right? So between the two bullish blocks that we have a very big sizey stop loss. We're looking at something about 9% or 8%. So I thought this would be a very good opportunity to bring to you some of the swing trades that I take, not just like, degen breakouts where I ladder in my positions and I kind of average out my my entry and my my stop loss risk, just like Dylan teaches us and all of that. So I kind of would split my my limit order in and around the two bullish order blocks, and the way I would go about it is on a big level like the previous quarterly low, I would go in with 10% and on the 786. This is I don't think we're going to get a snapback bounce from PYTH any second. You know what I mean? We might get some just fuckery around here, excuse the language, and then we're most likely going to dip lower. The only reason why I say that is, again, I'm looking at everything as a cluster and what led to a previous breakout. So here we can argue and say that this is nothing technically. If we didn't know about the unlock, this is all it's doing. It's testing the bottom of this cluster. So if I extend this to here, what we can be seeing is something as simple as a very quick wick to clean out the people that longed here and put their stop losses here. We get back to the 50% of the cluster, consolidate, breakout, and off we go. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is we tie in other breakout clusters from previous times. So the bullish block that we're sitting on is sitting on right here. So I would put 10% of my position here just to test the waters, and then a couple of percent down, about 3.7, 3.8%, I would go in with 30% of my my position. And then at the very bottom, this the cheeky wicks, because Dylan always says, if we made it down here, they might as well push us all the way down from the previous breakout lows. So this is where I would put the majority of the remaining of my position, right? So in this situation, don't know top of my head, but a 9% stop loss can average out to something around 5.5 to 6%, which is still, in my book, very worth it for something as big as a 60% move overall if market turns bullish.
So I've looked at this two ways, and I've taken one scalp position. So I'm gonna exit on loss of the current lows that we're using, and then I've got a swing setup that I'm busy setting up now on Blowfin. So similar to what Panda has just shown you there, I'll show you what I've done. So here's the scalp setup that I've got going on LBank at the moment. It's $10,000, and I will exit if we start closing under these current lows. Okay, so I'm not going to stick around that long. That is the scalp play. I don't want to bleed this thing out 10% unnecessarily. Then what I've done on Blowfin here is I've teed up one of these laddering in setups. So you can see I'm still long pendle here at the moment in Blowfin. That is cooking. We'll talk about that in a minute. But in terms of orders, I've grabbed one order already, and then I've got another one waiting at 1270, and I've got another one waiting at 1230, and I'm trading this on an isolated position. So if there is weakness in the market and they come and they lickies me or they do whatever, it's an isolated trade, and that means that the money in the isolated position is at risk, not the rest of my trading account. Remember the difference between cross and isolated when you guys are trading. So Blowfin's got isolated and cross, obviously, and you can also play leverage games. And for example, I played the leverage game on Pendle. I'm running a $25,000 position, and I only have $790 of margin in that currently. I've been able to take that margin out. So if this PYTH trade starts working, I'll be taking the margin out, and we'll use that for another trade. But that is my current sort of long-term swing trade here. Let's see. And, I'm backing those areas to hold. It's about an 8 or 9% move to the downside. If it doesn't hold, the risk capital in that isolated trade is at risk. Nothing else gets touched. Okay, so very important that you guys focus on isolated, especially when you are starting out. And if you are also trying some of these laddering in entries, you can do that. Okay, and then, you can see my chart looks very similar to Panda. Nice setup, bro. Hey? Fucking nailed it.
Learn from the best.
And, you can see we've got order blocks here, macro 786. We've got nice zones here, and it looks like we may get some kind of reversal on the oscillator. So something like that, bang. Something like that. Okay, so guys, that's it. And you obviously know the risk involved now. And again, don't ape first bite. Go in slowly. You can see I've staggered those orders. My biggest order is at the bottom, at the capitulation here, at the lows. That is where my big risk is. And that is my minimal risk, because it's going to be about 2% from the stop loss, or maybe even less than that. So be patient, ladder in, wait for the swing move, and then we get some kind of nice play out of that. Okay, Panda, stick around, bro. I'm talking 𝗬𝗰. And a couple of things on 𝗬𝗰 as well. So I've just shown you Solana printing a bullish divergence on the 8-hour. And funny enough, we're getting the 𝗬𝗰 print now as well. Okay, so we've got our bullish divergence print on the 8. And 𝗬𝗰, just like ETH, just like all these other tokens, could be primed to just drag itself down like that. So same as ETH, SOL, and those types of things. But the bull case is that we start breaking through this descending trend. And that's probably where Panda will come into play, when we start breaking out of these types of zones. So if we start blowing through, say, 3.85, you start popping through 3.85 on 𝗬𝗰, then you might have a breakout trade, and your target's going to be 4.25, and your target's going to be 4.61. But right now it is under a trend. So what I suggest you do is actually set your alarm, and set your alarm at a trend break. So I'm going to just highlight this region over here. So my alarm is now set at 3.94. And if 𝗬𝗰 starts breaking that, I'm going to look at the chart, and then we might be able to trade a breakout. And how do I trade a breakout? Well, I keep it relatively simple. If it starts pushing through the trend, I start buying a little bit, and then I anticipate that it's going to drop back down. And the real test always when it drops back down, guys, is, are the bulls going to step in? That's the real add-on zone that you're going to be looking at on that breakout. So right now, let's clear 3.94. Let's break that. Then we might get interested again, and that's probably going to tell us that the market is starting to push. Okay, and who says WIF is flying? Wow, WIF is actually flying. Okay, that's cool. Okay, guys, so 𝗬𝗰, and then in terms of key supports, I know this thing is a little bit messy at the moment. Let's clean this up for you guys. In terms of key supports, if we do continue to drift lower for 𝗬𝗰, what you are watching, 3.56 and the banger at 3.3, 3.31, those type of levels, that is your banger zone there on 𝗬𝗰. And remember, guys, all these charts go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show. So don't panic. You can, if you are in Hackers, you'll see all of them there, including Panda's charts and Jay's charts, also doing some degen stuff. in Hackers, and they have their own channel. They've got a channel in the Discord called the Charting Zone, and you're going to find all their setups and all those things that are there ready and waiting for you guys. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, so Pendle we covered. Let's talk a couple of trades that are good and not so good. Okay, so ONDO, it's holding okay for now. I'm now $36,000 long. POPCAT, I'm $35,000 long, but I'm a little bit edgy about this one. I'm going to show you the POPCAT chart. I still believe there's a possibility I get absolutely fucking rinsed on this thing, and it hits the main entry. AIXBT just a head short at the moment. Link from yesterday, pretty much a round trip, $42,000 long, basically a round trip now. Virtual $2,000 up. GIGA, I've just added more to GIGA, dropped in our second buy zone that I dropped in Hackers earlier today. So I added a little bit to GIGA. It's now $16,000 long. So I'm primed for some kind of market pump. I'm not primed for some kind of market dump. I'm going to get lickies there if they are going to send me a little bit lower. So obviously I'm leaning a little bit bullish here. In terms of GIGA, here's the 1 hour. We've just printed a blue reversal dot as well, and we've printed bullish divergence, and we have dropped into an order block and 618 region on GIGA. So this may or may not be a zone that gives us a little bump. Okay, now if we are going to get a bump, we need a proper bump here out of GIGA. The reason being is I can see a head and shoulders developing quite easily here on this thing if we don't push hard. So if we rejected that trend, I think we're going to be in trouble on GIGA. So just be careful with that one. I know Panda is still sitting short, so he's going to love a rejection on that trend, I'm sure. And so just be careful, guys, at 24, watch out there, and at 24.6. Watch out there. But I've added to mine. You can see lower time frame might be a little push there on GIGA, and your exit plan is candle close under 23. Candle close under 23. That's probably an exit zone, especially the high leverage guys. You don't want to stick around and bleed these things out too long. Then in terms of ONDO that I've got running there, I spoke about this yesterday, Robinhood getting involved in RWA. They basically want to bring Wall Street on chain and unlock 30 trillion. That's not new news. I think we know about the ONDO situation as well. But Robinhood, they were speaking about that yesterday, and that could be bullish for RWAs. Now, the interesting thing is Pendle is a nice combo of DeFi and RWA, and ONDO is a nice RWA banger as well. And just a recap of where we are now on ONDO, we've held our main zone. We've dropped into our main bounce zone, that 89 region, and that is going to be our main support at the moment. You can see I've got minor bullish divergence on the 8-hour printing as well. And this is now telling me, we want to look for these alts, some of these like that are printing the divergence. This tells me we want to see them hold higher lows. Okay, so where I'm seeing bullish divergence on the 8 hours, I'm expecting some kind of pullback if they are going to come, but I want to see that higher low print. That is for me, that's where I'm leaning at the moment. So right now, key support on ONDO, I'd say take it down back to 89.6 or 89.3. You can probably press it all the way down there. That will still be a higher low for you guys, but things are looking slightly better in terms of the oscillator. And then backup zone, guys, if all else fails, market falls over, where's your next potential zone? 844 is the next area for me. And it is also a bit of a banger, okay, because that is your head and shoulders zone. So if we drop into that zone, that is the zone that might give you a big trade for that right shoulder. So just look out for that as well, and always have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan. Okay, now let's talk Link. And Michael van der Poppe was talking about Link yesterday, and it dropped into our zone, gave us a nice bounce, and I've been adding to that Link and obviously looking for a higher low now. I don't want to see this thing rinse me back to 14.95. This is still our big zone that we're going to be watching. Okay, waiting for some kind of reversal now on the 12-hour. Let's check in with the 8. It's going to print divergence, I would expect. Okay, if we get a bounce there, it's not my best. It's not my absolute best. So in terms of Link, if you want a buy zone, I would say anything from 15.15 down to 14.9. I mean, for me, I don't want to go there, but it looks like that is going to be a reality there. So that's going to be a possible move there for us on Link until we get that reset. And then your backup zone, guys, is going to be 14.1 down to 14 is your backup plan. Okay, 14.1 to 14 there. Then let's talk POPCAT. So POPCAT is the most bought token by smart money in the last 24 hours. James, it's like ping pong.
Well, back and forth.
I mean, this is crazy, okay? And then latest whale drops $5 million into meme coins. With Bonk, Mew, POPCAT. Don't forget about the cats.
Don't forget about the pussy.
And we can see Fartcoin. Let's talk Fartcoin. And I was covering this on my workshop today. It's quite frustrating but these are high volume traded tokens. So you might have a situation where there's a lot of traders watching some of these macro 618s and they start front running these zones. Look at this. Fartcoin still hasn't hit my buy zone. 1.135 is my Fartcoin buy zone. I really want to see that get taken out. So waiting patiently now for this Fartcoin to come to me. And, we might have to wait a bit longer. You can see there's a nice wedge to the downside as well that we can keep our eyes on. But 1.135 is for me a buy zone. That's an activation zone. And then lower down there, 99, 97, those type of regions is what I'm looking at for a bounce. And that's the banger. That's the proper banger down there. And the longer this takes, all that's going to do is we're going to see the 50 push up. And at some point, we might get a situation like that, where that 50 is giving us extra confluence later on. And then this will become the banger zone a little bit higher up. Okay, so Raphael says, should we long or wait? It depends on your leverage, sir. What are you trading? Let me know in the chats. Raphael, what do you want to trade, bro? I'll tell you, okay? Mr. Gnarl. Okay, what else have we got here? POPCAT. Why is this putting me under pressure? Well, I think it's quite simple. 406 is the big zone. And I wrote here, possible long coming, look for oscillator reversals. Now, you can see there's a little bit of a vibe here, a little bit bearish here at the moment on POPCAT, and it's starting to smell like they want to send it to 406. Okay, so that is a big area there for me. I've got confluence here on these horizontals. So again, in the trade, not comfortable. I'm not loving it. Okay, if we start losing levels here, I'm going to start cutting it slowly. I'm not going to trim the whole thing. I'm just going to start cutting the size, because if we start losing levels here, then I'm expecting a dip into that 406. Okay, so 406 for me on POPCAT. Watch that one. And then Bonk again, guys. I'm trying to trade those bots, and I'm trying to be as patient as possible. Here is my own made-up bot entry, and that's going to be a staggered entry into Bonk. Anything from the 177 down to 160. I'm waiting very, very patiently here. I've loaded my account. There's $5,000 in my 𝗬𝗵𝗄𝗃 account. There are my bonk entries, waiting to pick them up, waiting for the swing play here on 𝗬𝗵𝗄𝗃, and then hopefully some kind of move. Okay, that is my game plan there. Obviously, if the market capitulates, we're going to get absolutely licky on this thing. Okay, so that is my game plan. Just waiting. The entries will hopefully pick up for us on the way down. Then what else do I have for you here? Virtuals. Let's update virtuals. Again, we can't really argue at the moment. We can't say this is too bearish. We've got our previous range low in play. We are back in it. So, for me, let's see if we can hold 182. If we can hold this 182 zone, we should be okay. All right. So let's see if that is going to play for us. The target is obviously the highs over there at 2.2. That is the upside. 1.82 is support at the moment for virtual. So no new trade just yet. Let it come back down to you. Same with Link and those types of things. And then Pendle. Where's my Pendle now? Where's this Pendle chart? Oh, I wiped out my Pendle chart for some CAS action. Okay, let's look at Pendle. See if I've got the right one here. Okay, now Pendle, probably a beneficiary of the latest news out there at the moment, and obviously looking super bullish on the RWA front as well. I just want to make sure, let's get the right chart here. Okay. No, that's the wrong one. Hang in there, guys. Hang in. Okay, must be this one. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now Pendle is at major resistance. You can see there is pressure at this major resistance band. 4.4 is what we're looking at here. 4.4. If we break through 4.4 on Pendle, I think we're going to coast to about 4.8. It makes a lot of sense to me. Look at this beautiful candle here. Wow. And that will be actually a nice short zone there, 4.88. So there's a possible short on that undercarriage there for Pendle. Could look something like this. And for me, that's going to be the exit zone for that trade that I'm sitting in there on Blowfin. And I've taken out half of that position already. And we'll let that ride into that zone. And then a possible short here, guys, 4.72 up to about 4.93. Look for that reaction. But I would expect that it runs out of steam when it starts hitting this type of zone here. Probably mess around and then eventually fall over. Okay, something like that. On Pendle. So that's a big zone. Panda, thank you, sir. Any words of wisdom for our guests today watching?
Yeah, actually, if you would give me a couple of minutes to talk about some of the breakout trades that we've been doing on your show. We did alpha yesterday. So let me just put on my my screen. And where is it?
Okay, your screen is up, or your trading view is up. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so yesterday I dropped this alpha long on your show, and we ended up doing a 14% move. This was actually a stupid trade, stupid in terms of how it pumped and how much money we made actually, because we ran the long directly into the short in Chart Hackers after the show, and we ended up it was 2 trades over a span of 2.5 hours. It was 14% up. And then we did a nice 14% to the downside, and some people did the moon TP at about 18%, and they took the whole wave up and down. And I know a lot of people have been asking you, how do we find these disgusting breakouts and setups, and how do we even take them? Because the biggest, mentally is, if I come in on a candle like this and I tell you to long the top, you're gonna call me crazy, right? You're going to say, what the hell is wrong with this guy? But there's a method to the madness, and that's something that I teach about in the stages in Chart Hackers, so I can't share too much, but I would say these breakouts, they're actually a little bit simpler than you think. One thing I take into consideration 100% that goes into my Confluence bag with these breakouts is the Chart Prime oscillator here, the Oscillator Pro. And basically, I'll give you a hint of one of my my Confluences that I had in my bag to take this trade yesterday. Essentially, I play on breakouts when I'm scalping, not like something like cast that I just dropped, something like scalping on the 3-minute, the 5-minute. I take the bearish divergences into consideration, and that's actually one big factor in my trade. So I can actually break it down to the exact minute of when we called the trade and why. This was the icing on my cake, other than this cluster that was forming. Beautiful cluster, followed by indecision candle. And right at that time, if I zoom in, we're on the 15. If I zoom in on the 5-minute, that's when the cash flow was basically turning pinkish and about to do this blow off top type of move, which was going to print the hidden bearish divergence. And that's exactly where we longed it at about 8:05 my time, which is about this time. And that was the explosive move. Didn't actually expect it to go that far. I was kind of hoping for something around these levels, but we took it up here. And then, again, with the bearish divergence, this was printed. And immediately as it started pointing downwards and we got the second print and it was turning red, that was tying in with a rejection, put in a short, come back down. We tested again, lower high. In the grand scheme of things, yes, it's a 5-minute, but we're scalping. This is technically my lower high in the grand scheme of things, and that's our short. Dropped it again. That was over about 2 hours and 10 minutes. We hit 24%. 28%.
Okay, so guys, there you go. Yes, we're not going to give away all the secrets. Come to Chart Hackers, you'll find out more. This is why he's my expert breakout trader. Okay, you want to do crazy DJ and shit? Well, come to Hackers and he'll sort you out with that stuff. But you see his technique there. He looks for that bearish divergence to form, and that final pump that forms the bearish divergence is often a nice little scalp there for you guys, because everyone's shorting early and they get squeezed. Okay. Magic. Exactly. Okay, nice, bro. So if you want more Panda action, you know where to find him. And he's going to be live trading with us on Saturday on Crypto Banter Plus as well. So make sure your notifications are on. Make sure you are subscribed, because I can't tell you exactly when it's going to be. So make sure you're ready. So like, subscribe, do the thing so your bells are on. Panda, thank you, sir. And Scott says, great episode. Scott, thank you, sir. Okay, so catch Panda in Hackers there. And James, thank you. Final words for you. Bullish still? Any news come out of America yet?
Nothing that I've seen. We got to keep our eyes on. It's now 2.5 hours from now that Trump is speaking with the Secretary of Defense. So keep your eyes peeled, everybody. We'll see what happens. Okay.
Final Bitcoin update. Okay, let's see what's going on. Okay, a little bit of upside pressure here. What I don't like, guys, that 2-hour bearish divergence. You can see we're turning up, so we might actually print a second one here. Okay, so that could be interesting if we print the double dip. That could be quite spicy for us. In terms of upside, 1055, 1062, and then the wick fills to the upside. Let's see the shitcoins. PYTH under pressure. WIF still good. Sol still okay. Let's see the rest here. A little bit of a bleed out. That POPCAT, I might start cutting that POPCAT, guys. Okay, if it starts putting me under pressure, I'm not gonna stick around. Okay, Real Estate Fairy says eyes on Trump. It's always fucking eyes on Trump for some reason. He's moving the market all over the place. Yes, sir.
Could you do us a big favor? So Aletu here is sweating in the chats. He's been in there. He's stuck in Trump short, and I think it's mooning, and he's just sweating. You do him a huge favor if you could look at it quick.
Aletu, are you shorting the Trump token, bro? I stay away from this thing generally.
Yeah, I don't short it anyway. I may long it, but I don't short it.
Yeah, I mean, I generally steer away from this. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, so not too bad on the 12 hour. 12 hour, you look okay. Let's look at the 8. How short are you, bro? What's your entry there, Aletu? Tell me what your entry is there. Because this thing's looking like could go up a little bit more here.
I think so.
Look at that. You got massive support there. Let's just highlight that there. You got the 100 days, Aletu, and you've got the horizontals, and you've got the 618. So there's a lot telling us that this is a support zone. And you can see this 4 hours still trying to grind a little bit more. Let's just see on the 8. Yeah, that 8 hour is cup and handle on the oscillator. I mean, yeah, this thing could push. It could push a little bit.
Time.
What I can do is give you resistance zones where you might want to cut. So let's just keep it very simple here. Let's look at some major areas where this thing could potentially go and reject. Okay, let's drop in a VWAP there. Okay, so we're already over that resistance VWAP. That's not a good start. So I would say as we let you, this thing could push to 14.04 potentially. Let's look where our 382 is quickly.
Looks like there may be news on this thing too. I think that, you know, that dinner for the top holders.
Yeah.
I think that somebody here in the chat saying May 22nd, there's a big announcement coming. I think that's the dinner is, what, 2 days away?
Okay, so Aletu, watch this, bro. If it's going to pop, I would say you want to start cutting 13.46. You want to start cutting your next danger zone, 13.59. So these are all potential upside areas that it could reject. And then it pumps straight into 14.04. So if it doesn't roll over at one of these zones here, then I think you're in trouble up there, especially if you're sitting short. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Okay, James, thanks for that. We'll let you good luck, bro. And Tindo, pleasure, sir. Glad I could be for you guys. Okay, back tomorrow, same time, same place, same shit coins. Let's see. Am I going to get my bonk entry lower down? Part of me doesn't want that entry because it means I'm going to get rinsed on some of these others. So obviously want this shit to go up. But guys, just be ready. You know the big levels. And yeah, we'll catch you in chart hackers as well. Okay, see you guys later.